Okay, so last time that we came to you, I was very sick with COVID, which is the whole reason that that entire ritual never really was completed. I do think I completed it in my own way, in my own heart space at the time. I very much did continue to stay in the Elvis energy. I did also read this book, highly recommend, highly, highly recommend. This book is a very interesting book. It's about this guy that comes across letters that are written from Elvis to this lady who is a quote-unquote spiritual advisor to him, Marlon Brando, Tom Jones, and one other dude. Sorry, I can't remember the other one. But she apparently was writing letters back and forth. So these letters were found in a suitcase of this lady's things after she died, and it was sold at auction or something like that. And the first half of the book is him going through all of the reasons of why he believes these letters to be absolutely authentic, but for copyright reasons, he's not allowed to actually show you the visual text, but he did have a handwriting test, on and on. In it, he also gives there's like photographs of the images of Elvis's house that was in Palm Springs. So I don't remember when I did this. I think it was probably within a few months of channeling that original video that I went to the house in Palm Springs, and I had my boyfriend dip his hand out of the side of the car and get a rock. I was like, any rock, get a pretty rock. We were just driving by, and that is this rock at the bottom. And I chose to infuse it with a love quartz crystal. This is a rose quartz. And I used wax from the original candle to meld them together and also put it on top so that it's sealed. So it's like an eternal healing of both his heart space and the land in that area. So that was at least my intention and my purpose. So that was very fun magic that we did. We'll go ahead and light the candle up. So I'm going to go through some different messages. This is an essential oil that is, I believe, an abundance money blend of sorts. So lots of orange citrusy smell to it. I don't know exactly what's in it. I don't remember. I bought it a while ago, but we're going to anoint ourselves at the wrists, at the ankles, and at the third eye. Very good, very good. So, I don't know how big of an Elvis fan that you are, but there is a story of him buying a pink Cadillac for a little old lady that was just standing at the window wanting / needing a car very badly, and he just bought it for her. So this kind of abundance is what he wanted to offer to the collective right now, was that kind of level of abundance, of just being able to make it rain for those that deserve to be rained upon. One of the other big things that he talked about is just wiggle. He wanted me to just wiggle. I have lots and lots of body shaming issues. I do not like to move my body because I feel like moving my body, there comes trouble. It's some real deep programming. It's not good. And so he has told me to just wiggle. Wiggle on my own, in my own way. So that's his other message, is to please wiggle, wiggle. He also is a very kind, chivalrous guide for if you are feeling emotionally or physically depleted. If you can picture what would feel soothing to your vessel, what would feel good if you had the most chivalrous of men just there to be sweet to you, and picture them like escorting you across like a wet street. You know, the chivalrous kind that would take off their coat so that you can step on their coat so that you don't step in the puddle. That kind of chivalry, okay? So think of where it would feel nice for them to just feel supportive of you? Is it on like your low back, your mid back, just over the shoulder? Do you just want to hold hands just as you're walking in life? Like, what would feel good to you for a very positive male to do for you? He will do that for you on an etheric level. Like, he can just place his hand just right on your hip or something and just be like, it's gonna be okay. And picture him walking with you as you're walking somewhere. It works. You will feel supported in a way that you have not ever felt supported. The more that you can imagine it and feel it on your body, the better. We have found some lots of predatory energy and lots of abuse that happened to him. If you do not know about the abuses, even if you think you know about the abuses, like the last this much of the book, this much. For a film portion of this, if you are a film person and want to dive down this rabbit hole, it's interesting. The director, I believe it was, of the movie Kissin' Cousins was known as a something. I can't remember exactly what the terminology in the book was, but basically he was a gross dude. And it was like something like Quick B Film Bill or something like that. It wasn't that, but something along the lines of that. It basically, he could throw a shitty picture together with a really short shooting schedule and a low budget, throw it together and have it be, you know, quasi decent. And that was his game. And he was physically abusive, like with a cattle prod to the staff. But it turns out the whole staff, it's not just women, it's everyone is being abused. And there's a lot of drama that's talked about in the book about the cast and the crew of that particular film, and being extremely abusive to Elvis in like a gang kind of way. But looking into that specific director would be helpful, and looking at who that guy worked with in the movie world would also be helpful, like his relationship to the studios. That will give you a piece, like that it gives you a string to pull when it comes to looking into true and false of the who's dark in Hollywood question that plagues us all. He really just wants me to talk about how that original video I absolutely felt like was not good enough at all. It was uploaded to the YouTube just listed as unlisted, and I wouldn't post it because it didn't have an ending. So we're showing up for ourselves and doing the ending. Another really beautiful thing that came out in 2022 for me, my #1 song that was played in 2022 was Love Me Tender, because Spotify gives you like, what was your top played list when it comes to the new year? It's kind of actually a fun thing. It was cute. But I was like, Love Me Tender specifically, huh? That's interesting. And it's because on 11/11 of 2022, 11/11 has always been my clean out the garden. I planted a fairy garden on 11/11 of 2017. So on 11/11 of every year, I clean the whole thing out and revamp it and like redesign like a crystal something. It has a little bridge. And this time during 11/11, I put the headphones in and I listened to that song on repeat because he told me to sing it to myself until I believed it. Okay, so let's go to the lyrics, okay? And so we're just basically very slightly tweaking the energy so that it becomes a song that is sang to yourself, okay? So hear me out. Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. I have made my life complete, and I love me so. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfilled. For my darling, I love me, and I always will. Love me tender, love me long, take me to my heart. For it's there that I belong and will never part. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love me, and I always will. Love me tender, love me dear, tell me I am mine. I'll be mine through all the years, till the end of time. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfilled. For my darling, I love me, and I always will. So that is why Love Me Tender was the #1 song played for Miss Carissa. I rearranged my whole garden with that one song on repeat. I didn't remember that I did that until after the New Year's. I had forgotten. I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. Yep, that was the song I listened to for a solid 3 hours. So that's a very good practice if you would like to do it. He welcomes you with open arms. Another one to listen on repeat that I really love is If I Can Dream. That is my other favorite. And Clean Up Your Own Backyard. Also a very good one about accountability and about judgment of people and humans. Good one to listen to. Do we have anything else to show? This is a pretty shell that was picked up in Honolulu on the beach of the hotel that he always stayed at. So that's very fun too. So when I filmed this video 2 years ago, and I was in the midst of being super sick with the infamous virus that, changed the way that we exist. And at the end, when I am getting into the sacral chakra issues and the true feelings of love, and also the distortion surrounding the movie Kissing Cousins and the different sexuality issues at the time of, when he was alive and the way that he was even portrayed to the public. All of those different distortions, they were heavy for me because I have my own stuff. At the time, because I was so sick, I was so depleted. I may have more footage from past that part, but I don't think I do. I was in a place where I was judging myself really badly. And I watched a TikTok video recently that was talking about revisiting things from 2 years ago because of the Mars-Uranus conjunction that's about to happen in a couple of days. And I revisited, and this was, around that time that I was filming that. So I was like, okay. When I went back, that it is very edited. Like, I took out all of my ums and all of my pauses and coughings, and there was a lot there. It's very edited. But it wasn't as bad as I was judging it to be at the time. That's why I chose to just go ahead and make it public. I was trying so hard to make that public because the movie had just come out 2 months prior, and I was like, I need to get this out. And I was pushing and pushing to do it, and it was too much for me at the time. And now revisiting it, I feel like it's not even as bad as I thought it was, and I was judging myself really harshly. So I think I want to come back and I want to finish it now. One more message that came through. And that was that my experience with having that virus, I'm an extremely heavy cigarette smoker, and that knocked me down to 4 a day. Knocked me down to 4 a day. But I finally felt, the point is that I finally felt and remembered who I was without the nicotine. And it frightened me because I didn't know how to give up that version of myself. So he's inviting me to remember what I'm like without that extra get things done focus that nicotine tends to cause. So just a re-invitation to let go of any addictions and a re-inviting to remember the older past versions of myself in this lifetime, just the different versions, and honoring the different versions of myself and allowing and inviting the old versions of myself that I actually liked and enjoyed, but have gotten buried through, life that happens along the way. But inviting those childhood-like self parts back to myself, those innocent days where there was purity and hope and love and joy and harmony, at least in places in the vessel. Some days they weren't all bad days, inviting the good days back and remembering again the different versions of me that I actually liked, inviting those versions of myself back. Let's go back to the actual healing part. So, home and love and sexual distortion. Okay, so in our minds, we're gonna go back and he's gonna lay back down on the crystal bed, okay? But this time I want you to participate in this healing as well. So if you're called, I'm again gonna go up to the crown chakra and I'm just gonna put my hand at the crown chakra. And then your hand, what would help is take your hands and rub them together. Take your hands, rub them together, and start to feel like the heat, and just notice the heat. Let it get hotter and hotter and hotter. And when you feel it's right, you're gonna put your hands up to the screen. Ready? And we're just gonna connect our hands. So your hands and my hands. I'm gonna show my hands, you show yours. 1, 2, 3. And you just picture your hands being connected to my hands, okay? And now we're gonna heal him together, all right? So I'm standing at his crown, you're standing at his feet. And together we are going to, again, for the highest good of all, okay? And you can participate and feel from the feet. So you're at the feet, I'm at the head, and now I'm gonna just push the energy through, okay? And we're gonna pick up and remember where we left off. We have our wand still, okay? So through the head. And now you catch that, okay? And you're just gonna hold that. Now from here, you can watch if you want to and just experience, because now your hands are connected. So you can just sit there at each foot and you can picture yourself and your energy running down through your hands and down through your body into your feet, and then anchoring those deep, deep into the earth, okay? Deep, deep in the feet. Deep, deep in the feet. So all the way down, it goes all the way down, okay? And now you're anchored in, and I have stretched my consciousness way, way up high. So now we're anchoring, and together we're making like a big energetic, positive energetic loop, okay? So together we make this energetic loop. Okay. And if you remember, we went through from the crown and down into the heart space. We got down into the solar plexus, into the sacral, and into the root a little bit, okay? And there was like that part where we connected it to the back of the heart space, right? And then we allowed any of the things and the gicks to drain out of the back and into the earth, okay? So now from your perspective, I want you to, again with your hands, blow your energetic breath onto your hands, okay? And then you're gonna up the feet, and then I'm gonna catch it and receive it. And then, so I'm in the heart space, and I'm just gonna hold that there and then pull it and down, okay? So when you're ready, okay? Okay, now push it towards, thank you. Through and down. So again, this is just cleansing and clearing his heart space, his vessel in the time that he was here and, you know, in the etheric realm now. Again, I think because he's in the etheric realm now, I think most of this has already been cleansed and cleared. So it's not like this is, I don't think it's even necessarily things that are happening in this now moment to him. Like, I think he's figured out most of this, but it's almost like a reverberation of things that he had experienced in his lifetime. And so it's like us doing this kind of gives the whole thing closure, but more from our perspective than necessarily from his perspective. Because again, I think most of this has already been done on the other side, but we are giving it like almost like our signed, sealed approval that, you know, these different things, whether they were good or bad, lessons learned, whether we're talking like things about addiction, things about judgment, things about body shaming, things about, you know, the way that we treat males and females, violence, alcohol, like any of these issues. We're just picturing any of those things that you relate to and any of the things that I relate to and any of the things that he relates to, all being pushed through the vessel and then down into the ground, so that all of this again can, like any of the gick, can be gone like whoop and come through and then down. So then that way it can be recycled and regenerated, and it's stuff that we don't have to carry anymore. Okay, so now that we've got purpose, okay, we're gonna do one more time. Again, and you push and I pull. Okay, ready? Thank you. And down. Thank you. Okay, so now we're just going to ask him to come forth a little bit more and talk about, we were discussing the things about the heart space. Let's see if I can tap more into that, of like the love and the heart space and anything related to that kind of thing that we would like to discuss now. Anything that would be in our highest good. Ooh, interesting. So he's saying that a lot, like that's another of the infamous virus that we've been discussing. Like a lot of that time and all of that happening made everyone focus on what is going on in the home, whether it's disorganization of like physical items, you know, just things being overstuffed, overcluttered, busy, you know, everybody in your family being at home and like all relationships being challenged in one way, shape, or form or of another. And, you know, children that are normally at school or at home and what that did for them. So it's about all of that time made us all look at our homes and look at the way we lived our lives and made us like reevaluate and find what really matters in a home, and separating the things like hygge, or like I like to call it being a hobbit, like all of those hobbit things that are just, you know, the love of home, the joy of home, like a nice warm fireplace, a nice comfy blanket. You know, I want this blanket because it makes me feel safe, makes me feel good, not because it's the most expensive blanket and it's the nicest blanket made out of the nicest things so that everyone will be impressed. It's just because it's mine, because it makes me feel good. Like items that do that for you rather than, you know, for someone else. That's the really big thing that I think is coming through right now. And he's saying that he got caught up in the materialistic portions of it, because really in the end, when he lost Priscilla, he lost it all. Like, because that's the broken family part of him. He didn't ever want that to break, but he didn't know how else to do it. And there was just, I think that story was I can't remember. There was one story that just made me like cringe for Priscilla, because I understood what it's like to be so young and be wanting your partner to be there for you in a sexual way. So you think you need to be putting yourself out there in this certain way, because it's almost like men over-sexualized women at the time. And then when we actually show up as sexy, then it's taken all badly, because it's like, what are you doing? Like, it's almost like it's their job to be, I don't know. There was some distortion there that just made me feel uncomfortable, again, because I know what that's like. Maybe I don't know how to show up in that kind of a way for certain people, you know, like it's just, it makes me feel all of those like not enough feelings. Why am I not enough? How am I even, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to show up? Like, how am I supposed to know that? Like, and like, if you don't have a partner that can be open to where you both can be open with each other in an equal kind of way, it's just gonna be difficult. And their age gap, you know, of his just, he's more mature and has had more life experience where she has not, you know, so those things played a part. What else, please? Yeah, I think it's all just about like finding these like cringy feelings that like make you feel uncomfortable or embarrassed of like, well, I should have shown up like this. I was supposed to do that. I was supposed to act like this, but I didn't know that. Or I acted like this and I really shouldn't have acted like that. Like, and I can't even believe that I did act like that. Oh, wow, acting from pain. Oh, goodness. Like, all of those feelings, okay? So we're just gathering up all of those. The coulda, shoulda, wouldas. We don't need the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, okay? So we're just gonna gather all of those. And he's got a lot of them too, and through his life of like, wish he would have done things this way. Wish he would have said this, not done that. Oh, what was that? Okay. Anyway, we're gonna gather all that. I'm pulling it all up into the third eye at this point, and because it's so much of it is about judgment. So it's about this and that. Like, and it's like these thoughts and feelings of all of this stuff just bounces back and forth in our head and rattles around and round and round, sometimes for days, weeks, months, years, decades. Something can roll around in my head of this one time where I said this and I shouldn't have said that, I should have said this, and it'll snap back into my head every 3 to 6 months or something, and I'm just gonna re-experience that shame. Like, all of those kinds of thoughts, like, those do not need to be there. So we're just gonna picture the back and forth. This is both in my going across like my third eye and like creating this like geometric shape back and forth. So picture like the point to the point. And so we're gonna do this on my own head just as examples. You can see like the shape and the patterning. So all of that energetic back and forth there, but then also we're going to make like a star shape, however it feels good, to that, like an opening on the top of the head. And we're just going to pull all of those gicky thoughts and we're going to swirl that, okay? So picture the and we're just going to gather all of the thoughts, all of the different ways that all of this nonsense bounces back and forth for no reason. We're just going to pull it all through. Ready? And if you want to, why don't you jump into the throat chakra now? And you're just going to up, okay? And I'm going to pull. Ready? So you're going to cleanse the words and the way, so like going through the windpipe and like up so that the thoughts, ready? Very good. Very good. Very good. So the mind, you know, is connected to the throat chakra, but so is the heart. So it's about the mind. Is the mind the one that's actually like creating the thoughts and the ideas? It needs to check in with the heart space and then come out the mouth, right? So that it's always connected. So it's like a let it go down, settle, and then about the throat, right? So purpose of you being in the throat chakra there was we're just pushing through and up and out. So getting rid of all of those things that have sat in the heart space that like, or even just mind things that came down to the throat, wanted to be spoken or were spoken, pulling those back up and out. See what I'm saying? Okay. Very good. Let's see if there's anything else. Let's play a game. Okay, so teddy bear, what does that mean? What does that song mean to you? So to me, what that song means to me is that he wants to cuddle you. He wants to hold you and be held by you too, in just that sweet, pure, innocent way of being there for you the way a teddy bear is there for you. Mm-hmm. So with this teddy bear energy, we're going to tuck him into bed and let him just rest, because that's what I would want. If I had had all this work done on me, I would want to sleep, because it would just feel comfortable and sweet, and like I could have a dream about it and like let it integrate into my body a little bit more and farther and in a beautiful way. So we're going to give him a teddy bear. We're going to pull blankies up around it, and we're just going to let him snuggle, okay? If there's anything like a sweet nai-nai, something that you would like to say to him, you go right ahead and say it. So I'm just saying to him, thank you so much for always being so willing to work with me. You're always someone that has always shown up for me in such a pure way, in such a sweet way, in a way I understand, in a way that I don't feel like intimidated or less than, even though by my judgmental side I probably should feel that way, but I don't. So I'm just saying thank you for being patient with me, being loving to me, being caring about me, and holding space for me when I couldn't hold space for myself. And I'm also thanking him just for being willing to be an example, both in his lifetime and even now, just specifically in this healing of he's just willing to just, you know, lay down and let us work on him. It's just nice. Just nice to have a steady hand. I think another reason that I really appreciate him is because he didn't really hide his spirituality during his lifetime. Like, he went through that whole singing gospel music stuff. He definitely believed in God. He definitely believed in God. It may have been a little bit more dogmatic or controlled of a style than I prefer, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't connected to God. And I think that he was able to allow God to speak through him and through his voice, through his body, through his motions, through his actions. And I mean, he's human, he's not going to be perfect. But I think, in my own personal opinion, he did a damn good job. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. And I really don't think he was too much of a mean person. Like, there's lots of abuse going on in Gix, and he got lost. He's, you know, lost his way, maybe. But don't we all? I know I have. I know I have. I'll tell you another interesting coincidence that's happened over the last 2 years. I went to Hawaii in December of last year, and Elvis died when he was 42. I visited there, and I was 42. And I stayed at the hotel that he is most known to stay at. It was apparently the only hotel he would stay at whenever he went to Hawaii. So he's very, very known to have stayed there. It's the Hilton Hawaiian Village one is very infamous. But there were like placards and everything of like telling the history of his visits and things like that. And there is a man-made little lake at the hotel that has a little island. So if you ever visit, I've done etheric work on that little island where we go and do like a magical journey in our minds into the island, and it's and just tap into the land and how it's connected, and leaving codes, our own like positive, beautiful light codes on the land that seeps into the water, that then is, you know, pushed into and accepted on a subconscious level by all that swim there. So because it's a very big travel destination, there are constantly people in and out of this place. And the little area where the little island is like not, it's mostly meant for little ones, because it's not a real beach. It's just, you know, ocean water being pumped in so that it's a shallower water, and you can ride little weird boats around it and things like that. But it's like connecting and giving back all of that childhood joy. So it's like blessing those waters to activate the heart space and the mindset of the adults and the children that visit there in a like a remember who you are kind of way. So we did that work too. But it was just interesting that I was 42 and he died at 42 when I finally went there. So I think now we're just going to close. So we're just going to say thank you to all the guides and guardians that held space for us during this time together. Thank you to Elvis for being there for us. Again, for being an example. Helping guide us in this lifetime now. Just thank you. ask and intend that any additional messages that need to come in the next few days come through clearly and concisely and are easily recorded and shared with others without hesitation, with ease and with grace and with flow. Please and thank you. Okay, I think we're good. Thank you so much for watching.